am your favorite nurse B, so let's get right into this video. So I want to talk to you all about how to choose a nursing program or a nursing school. This is very important step on your way to becoming a nurse. Some people might look over it just because it's just like, I just want to go nursing school, I'm gonna get into this school and that's it, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make a lot of money, I'm gonna be happy, I'm gonna fulfill my dreams. But I've heard just so many horror stories about nursing programs and how people regret going to this school or how they got into a school. Like for instance, somebody that I work with, she went to a for-profit school, and that school ended up closing. And she was like, had like 1 semester left of her nursing program, so she could have been basically screwed, really. But you know, thankfully she was able to get into another school like that picked up her credits and everything and picked up her program for the people that were in the school with her, and she was able to finish out her nursing program at another location. But that location was like 45 minutes away, so it's kind of like, that's scary to go to a school thinking it's going to be a great choice for you. You got in, you cool, you got there, you go in there, you got 1 more semester left to become an RN, and then the school closes. Like, that is crazy. But you know, God was with her, she got through it. I think she should be taking her board soon, so shout out to her. Anywho, so there's a lot of things to think about. So first, look at the admission process. So most schools, they have you do an entrance exam. Some schools have you do like an essay. You usually have to have a certain score on your exams or your ACTs, something like that. Make sure this school has some type of admission process. If you just have to just get into this, like apply for the school, get financial aid and get in, that's probably not a good nursing program, because they're not vetting their potential students. They're not doing anything to weed out the students and see who's going to be the best, who's going to be able to succeed in this program. Yes, you might start trying to go to one school and then realize like, oh my gosh, this is kind of hard to try to get in. I'm just going to say screw that school and go to a different school that's easier to get in and be like, cool. But there's a reason why that school is easier and that school is harder. It might be harder to get into that one program because they know what it takes for nurses to be able to get through a program and be successful. And so they test you right in the beginning just to see if you'll be able to deal with it, if you'll be able to accomplish it. Not to say that the school that's less hard to get into is the worst school, but it's just something to think about. So with that being said, make sure you keep your options open when you're applying for nursing school. So I would say definitely apply, look at your options, look at what's in your area. If you live somewhere like St. Louis, like in St. Louis, you can look at, I mean, there's so many different schools, but you can look at what's here in St. Louis. You can look what's outside of the city, like in kind of counties outside of your city. If you live in a city, or if you live in a county, look at a bigger city and see what they have to offer. You can even look at a school that's like a state that's close by. Like Illinois is not that far from St. Louis. Like East St. Louis is in Illinois, so that's how close we are. So you can look at a school that's in a state that's really close to you, if you kind of like that borderline, and see if they will accept you and kind of look at their requirements. And then just also think about out-of-state costs. It's something to think about. And also think about out-of-district costs. So even if, say, you're here in St. Louis but you want to go to St. Charles County, St. Charles County is totally different from St. Louis City, so you would have to pay an out-of-district fee. So that's something to think about too when you're going to a school. Look at the location. Another reason why you should look at the location, because you have to not only go to the school but go to clinicals. So say for instance, there's a school here in Missouri, it's Jeffco. It's really cheap tuition to get there, but it's like 45 minutes away from St. Louis, but it's so cheap. It's like $5,000 to get your RN from an LPN. But the only thing is just far away, but you only have to go there like twice a week, and they have all these different options, blah, blah, blah. But something to think about if I were to go there is clinicals, because my clinicals are also going to be in Jefferson County. So I have classes there and clinicals there. And that's just something to think about if you have, you know, one car and you're sharing it with your spouse or whatever. Or if you don't have a car, or if transportation is not good in your area. Just think about those things. You got to think about your child care as well, like the fact of, you know, the distance from your home to your school. Think about that. It's a big thing to think about. But back to keeping your options open. When you do that, I'll do a whole nother video on how you can look at those maybe just two schools, and how you can look at the schedules for those two schools and how you can work out a schedule to be able to do all your prerequisites for both of those schools at the same time, and then apply for both schools. I'll do that in a separate video. But anywho, keep your options open, because it is competitive to get into nursing programs, and you might not get into the one that you really want to get into. So just have a backup just in case, because if not, you might have to wait a whole nother semester, or you have to wait like the summer and another semester, and like the time will go by and go by. And if you already done your prerequisites, you have to keep in mind your science courses, because most science courses, they expire after 5 years. Something else to look at in keeping your options open for nursing schools is to look at the costs. So you might be able to go to one school. Maybe you're coming out of high school, or you just starting this off from scratch. You might be able to go to one school, get your bachelor's, and be done with it. But that bachelor's might cost you like $100,000. That's a lot of money, a whole lot of money to be having to pay back once you get out of school. So you might decide, okay, I really want to get my bachelor's, but it might be cheaper for me to go get my RN first and then bridge over to my bachelor's. That might shave $50,000 off of your tuition. Now I get it. Some people, they just want to go into one program. They want to be told everything that they have to do and then just go with it and just be done with it. I totally get that, but just keep in mind that student loans are real. That stuff is real. You could still be paying off student loans when your kids that aren't even born yet have student loans. So just keep that in mind. You can be coming out of a bachelor's program and have your bachelor's, but then be having to pay like $500 a month to $800 a month plus just to pay back your student loans. Now granted, most nursing jobs will help pay for those costs, but you might want to use that money that those jobs are paying you for school to go towards, getting your master's or going for your nurse practitioner. So it's just something to think about. I know that a lot of people just want to jump into a program, get into it, and just go like, I just got to do it. Like I've been saying I'm going to do it for so long. But just take time, take a day, and just look at all your options. Go through this whole list that I'm telling you all, and just see what's the best thing for you and your family. Because like I said, student loans are real. They will find you. They don't go away, even if you file bankruptcy, okay? They don't go away. So look at the cost, and that could be a way that you can compare schools. Something else to do is to look at the pass rate. Most schools, I think they have to show it on their website. You have to dig deep into these websites, y'all. Look into the about sections and history and all that. Look into their pass rate and see, okay, last semester, how many people actually passed their Nclex. So the Nclex is the exam that you have to take in order to become either a licensed nurse or a registered nurse. It's a state board exam that you have to pass in order to get your license as a nurse. So if this school, the cost might be cheap, it might be, kind of easy to get into, and then you look at the pass rate and they're only passing like 75% of their students, something's not right with that school. 75% is very low. I think the program I went into for my LPN is like 90-something%. So you need to look at that, because it tells you a lot about the teachers, the school in general, like what are they doing to prepare students to take the Nclex. That doesn't mean that you will go through that program and not be able to pass, but I mean, history has shown that 25% of their students have not passed their Nclex. And then sometimes I'll break it down. They'll be like, what percentage passed the first time they took it or the second time. Like they'll break it down like that, just depending, on how it's all broken down. But I believe that they have to show their pass rates on the websites, because every school that I've looked at has pass rates. So take the time to look at that. Something else that's very, 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 very important is make sure that the program is accredited. Make sure it's accredited. One program I was looking at, it was not accredited, and it said it on there. I forgot. It said something about insufficiency or oh my gosh, I forgot the wording of it. But you can go to the State Board of Nursing website, or you can call them, your local State Board of Nursing, and just say, you know, how do I find out if a school is accredited? If they've, I think it's like met the standards or something like that. If they've met the standards for this particular program, especially if they have LPN and RN, they might, the school I was looking at, they were great in their LPN, but their RN was very much so lacking. So what's the point of going through a program and it not being, you know, accredited, or it's not meeting the standards that the state has put on it in order to pass nurses that are competent and able to do their jobs? There's no point in doing it. No matter how cheap it is, how easy it is to get in, I mean, what's the point of doing that? It's not going to work out. So look at that. Also ask around. If you have nurses in your family or friends, just ask around and be like, you know, what school did you go to? You can go on nursing forums. Facebook has a lot of nursing like groups that you can look for in your area, and just ask around about it and ask them, you know, what school did you go to? How was your experience? Do you recommend it? Like, really take the time to vet these schools, because they're more than likely, they're going to take the time to look at you and be all in your business, how much money you make and do you work and what did you get on this class, and they're going to be all in you and what you're trying to do to get you into their school. You have to be all into their business in order to get into that school, to make sure that you're making the right decision for you and your family once again. But keep this in mind, you all, that most nursing programs, from what I've heard, or unorganized. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if that's just the nature of nursing, is that it's always changing. The one thing they kept saying in nursing school, oh, flexibility, you gotta be flexible. Things change, you know, because it does. You might have one clinical instructor one day, he or she might quit, and then you don't even have a clinical instructor. You got to go up to the school and do labs at the school. You can't even go to your clinical site. Like, stuff happens, and I hear this about a lot of nursing programs. So when people give you their opinion about a school, you know, they might just be coming from a negative end, but overall, you have to be like, overall, do you feel like when you came out of that program that you were competent, that you feel like you were able to be a nurse? That's something that you have to ask and really, you know, try to pry that out of people when you ask them about a program. Because like I said, it's usually just kind of a little chaotic, because most schools that you're going to in college, there's one teacher for this class, one teacher for that class, this department. But in nursing, with nursing programs, it's like people have to work more together. And it has to, in that program, there has to be more structure. So with it having to have more structure, for some reason, you know, if one little person kind of is sick or has an issue, it's like it kind of affects everyone else in the program, because they're all so linked together. Versus if you're just going to college and you take an English class and math class, and you're taking, you know, a social studies class, those teachers, if that one teacher's sick, like, somebody else from that department is going to step in and do it. But in nursing programs, there might be one teacher that's teaching, you know, maternal child or whatever. So, and there's nobody to really fill in. So it kind of, you have to think about that, because it's all connected. And that's why sometimes it could be very unorganized. But I think for the most part, the program I at least went to, there was points where I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is too much. But you have to take, when you get into those situations when you're at a school, you have to take it upon yourself to not be like, don't give into it. Don't be so negative. Don't be like, oh yeah, I'm so organized, I'm not even gonna do it. That's when you take the time to focus on your studies, focus on what you need to do as a student, because you know that these teachers or these instructors are not doing what they have to do. So you have to focus on what you have to do and be more of a self-learner, or you have to just learn how to educate yourself sometimes in these programs. And it sucks, because you're there to learn, but you have to do other things to supplement your learning. At the end of the day, these teachers are there only to supplement the information that you're getting. So they're there as an aid, versus, I mean, they're there to teach you, but you have to do things in order for you to be successful. And that's a whole other video with study tips and everything, but keep that in mind. And then One of the last things I would say do is just look at the years that school has been in service. So I think the nursing program I went to has been around for like 22 years. So it's very good. It's been around for a while. You hear about this program a lot. Most employers, when they hear about it, like, oh yeah, they have good nurses, da 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 da. So look at that. Just look into the school. Look at the history. If you're like out at the grocery store, you see somebody in some scrubs, be like, hey, what school you go to? Oh, okay, do you like it? Da, da, da. Just take the time to just get out there and just see. And like I said, use the internet for the best way you can. Use the state board of nursing, and then just use your judgment as far as process of elimination and comparing and contrasting these schools to each other. Like I said, choosing a nursing program is very important. It's the beginning to your nursing career, and it's going to help to steer you to be the best nurse that you can be. So pay attention to that. Don't take it lightly. And like I said, student loans are real. So look at your short-term goals, and then also look at your long-term goals as far as schooling. And you might not even have anything. You might just not even be a CNA. And you should still take the time. If you know you want to be a nurse practitioner, take the time to see, okay, this school, I can do this here. This school is going to give me my master's. This school, I can transfer there and get my nurse practitioner. Look and see at all the costs of these schools. Look and see how hard or how easy it's going to be to transition to these schools. Do they have LP and RN programs? Do they have online BSN programs? That's something that you think you might need. You know, look and see at all the options of these schools. Look around in your city or your county, and also outside of your city and county, and just take the time to do it. So that's all I have for you all. I hope that it was helpful. Hope you all take it serious when you're looking for schools. Thank you all for watching. If you haven't already, check out my second channel, Stay Forever True. I have a lot of hair videos and like just lifestyle videos and more about me outside of being a nurse. And as always, thank you for watching. Peace.